All right, let's get started here. Week 5, waiver wire. We got Wandale Robinson up first. He's going to lead the list here, right? Well, with the news on Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is out for the year. He had a devastating knee injury there, right? So, hey, 17th team in passing, Wandale. He is 66% owned, so a lot of people been on him. I mean, he's been on this list every week, it seems like. He had that big week 2. People picked him up. May have dropped him off a little bit in your league last because of that couple last weeks, but 66, easy matchup this next week against at New Orleans, right? Will be the focus. I'm not sure who the quarterback will be. Jackson Dart, who wanted to seem like he wanted to run more than pass. I'd almost, hey, I'd like to see the new quarterback in there, but if Russell comes in there, Wilson, hey, it might be, because of that hamstring. Well, that'd be kind of a bonus for Wandale, I think, right? And maybe even Slayton, right? Slayton returned. He's more of the traditional wide receiver where Wandale plays the slot, but we'll see how that works out. How about Romeo Dobbs? We were pushing him last week. Did you get him? Hey, he was one of the top ones we had on here last week. Great week for him, right? Well, he's the game in town. Unfortunately, the game's off for next week. He's on a bye week. So if you need someone for next week, obviously Romeo's not your man, right? But if you need someone after that, they're the number team 8 in passing, right? And 11th overall, but they're on that bye. Wicks came on a little bit last week too. He's in there, and of course they're trying to get Golden going. But hey, he's a rookie, hasn't been, and as long as Jaden Reed's out, hey, they're pushing the Savion Williams a little bit too, but not a lot. So it'd still be Romeo Dobbs, but they got the week off. You might want to wait, right, on Romeo Dobbs. Here's 2 owned. I cut it off at 90%. I just wanted to make sure Chris Godwin's back. He got just a little bit of action there. Not a lot, but 26 yards. But hey, he's in. So, hey, tough matchup next week at Seattle. So you might not want to put him in. That's a tough matchup for him just getting back. How about Shakir? Shakir flashed a little bit. A lot of the Buffalo receivers are owned. Shakir, though, has been doing kind of good here. He's up to the 28th ranked running back. New England, he's 77%, so he's owned a lot. But if not, kind of an easy matchup next week, home against New England. So some of the top ones there. How about, let's go down to Iam and Stephon Diggs. Well, Iam you might be able to grab. He's 50% owned. Right? 33rd wide receiver in scoring, has just 19 touchdowns. He'd been having, this last week he came down a little bit. Well, the problem is he's on the number 32 team passing, right? Hey, you can be the number 1 on your team. Iam Calvin Ridley, just what a disappointment. They're saying he's a little questionable for next week with an injury. Well, that opens it up even more for Iam. But the problem is the 32nd team passing. Cam Ward, just not been great quarterback passing here. That's a 10th schedule at Arizona next week. Hey, if he might be the only game in town. If Ridley they sit, he hadn't been doing too great. Of course, they got Tyler Lockett and Jefferson, or the Jefferson flashing a little bit, but not a lot. How about Diggs? He's 70% owned, 76% owned. Well, he came on a little bit. He's still waiting. He got a few more yards this last week. No touchdowns yet, but he seems to be the wide receiver there. Boutte kind of fell off here. He's been sliding down. He's more of a long ball, and the deal is they throw to the wide receiver, Drake May, even though he's got some good passing yards, right? Well, it's all Hunter Henry. Gets a lot of that. And the Henderson gets a lot of that. You can see 87 yards. Ramondre with 141 of that. So they throw to the running backs and tight ends, Drake May. So, we're still waiting for him to broaden their thing. But anyway, Diggs is at 76 by now. So he's, not available everywhere. How about, here's a couple that are available and might be on your radar for this next week. Alec Pierce. Is he coming back yet? So he's coming back from that concussion. Questionable for week 5, but we'll see. But after that, you're looking, Indy is the number 3 team offense, number 4 team in passing. Now, they do spread it around. Tyler Warren's going to want some action here, right? The tight end gets some. Alec Pierce He wants some action there. Josh Downs. There's just a lot of them. Pittman seems to be the number one. He is the number 15, but 29th in touch. Those 3 TDs help him propel him, right? So, Alec Pierce, though, if he comes back, that's going to be a great offensive passing team. So he'd been one of the leaders there. How about Malik Washington? He's going to be a little bit more known. I actually mentioned him last week and said, hey, if something ever happened to the top 2, will something happen? Tyreek Hill out for the year. So Jalen Waddle, obviously he gets bumped up. And Malik Washington will, let's not forget they brought in Nick Westbrook-Akine. He hasn't been doing as much. But, hey, he was a free agent, so he'll be called upon now. Malik Washington might slide up there. They are the 22 team in passing, right? But tough game at Carolina next week. But, hey, he will be the replacement. They'll be trying to get Malik Washington more involved, right? How about Hollywood and Trey Tucker? 60% owned on Hollywood. Hey, we're waiting for all the other Chiefs to get back. He had a kind of a good week. I mean, if you're in a jam and you need a wide receiver for 1 week, I mean, you always can shake a chance there on Hollywood. Of course, middle of the road schedule at Jacksonville. But, hey, Worthy came back last week and pretty well pushed Thornton down. Although Thornton got a touchdown to help keep him alive here. So, and we're, of course, waiting for Rice to come back as we inch closer. I mean, the shelf life of Hollywood. But if you need someone in a jam next week, Hollywood might be the guy just to get you through. We're starting up bye weeks finally, right? How about Trey Tucker? Trey Tucker, he is still the 8th receiver here in scoring. But, of course, he came back to earth last week after that 4-touchdown explosion the week before. So, Jacoby Myers, he's also there. But, hey, they've got an easy matchup against at Indy. Right, Indy throwing. They got to keep up. Of course, Trey Tucker's on 74% of the teams, so he's owned. But he just had that little downfall. He was one of the darlings that last week before, right? Everybody rushed out to pick him out, and didn't get the right guy, did they? How about Shaheed? Shaheed's flashing here a little bit. He's been solid. He's got the number 30 amount of touches, right? So he's, hey, flashing back and forth. Easy game at home against the Giants, right? His teammate, that's him. His teammate, Chris Olave, got going a little bit more. He got the touchdown, but boy, he keeps getting targets. He's 36 targets. And, hey, 30 or 24 here for Shaheed. But, hey, that's an easy matchup against the Giants. And, Shaheed's been there. So you could get lucky with a touchdown. If you're desperate, Shaheed might be somebody you could put on your team. How about the 2 Dallas receivers? 6 and 8% owned. Nobody rushed out to get them, right? And it's going to be Turpin, right? Turpin here. He's currently the 42nd. Why it matters is Dallas is the number 1 team in passing. So Dak Prescott's been doing his best. 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns passing. So CD Lamb's out, right? He'll be out for a while. So it comes down to Pickens. Obviously, Pickens exploded last week. So Pickens is the number 1 there. But it's going to be Turpin. He didn't deliver last week. Tolbert did a little bit more. But deep wide receivers there for Dallas. You might pick up one of them. They got an easy schedule here against the Jets. And if they seem to want to focus maybe on Pickens, since he's the number 1, if they ever pick on him, they're going to have to go to the other 2, right? And that would be Turpin. I still like Turpin a little better, even though Tolbert did a little better. You can see the average there. Well, Turpin, hey, he's involved, a little speedster guy. If I had to pick between the one of them, it'd be him. How about Isaiah Bond? Didn't check the picture before I got here, I guess. But Isaiah Bond, he's flashed up. Of course, he matters now because Cedric Tillman's out. He's hurt, hamstring out. So let's get out there, and Isaiah Bond moves up, right? Don't have a picture. That's a shame. He did get 3 touches last week. Kind of an exciting rookie there, right? Free agent. Tillman will miss after suffering a hamstring injury. So Bond might be a name there. He got on the board last week a little bit. And they are got a tough matchup, so you might want to wait another week on Bond. But keep your eyes open because he might be the guy there. Smith Schuster's on the list still, and this is just he did pretty good last week. This is just waiting for the Kansas City thing to clarify there. He's at Jacksonville, so don't know about that one there. How about Troy Horton and Troy Franklin? Torrey Horton and Troy Franklin. How about Horton? He's a flasher, right? He didn't do anything last week. The 2 weeks before he caught those long ones, we warned you about him. Don't rush on take him last week. Hope you did. And he's still at 25. He did. Off those two touchdowns, because you got to get. He's still only got 8 targets for the year, right? 8 targets. So just because you're flashing the pan 1 week. How about Troy Franklin? All right. Well, he's done a little bit more here. See, he had that big week 2, then off, back to 3. Well, he is got Philadelphia coming up next. That's a middle of the road. Cortland Sutton is the lead dog there. He's been doing kind of good. And then you go, of course, it's Mims. Mims had a big last week. So, it's kind of crowded there. So, any of these down here, hit or miss, like Sterling Shepard. He didn't hit last week. He was in the game, but with Evans out, it was kind of surprising. Ibuka just keeps going. He was my rookie wide receiver of the year. I told you guys, he'd been fulfilling that every bit. Unfortunately, I didn't get him. They paid way too much for him. How about Thornton? I guess it wasn't too much now when you're looking back. Thornton, he just keeps. He's still there. He got a touchdown to keep him in the conversation last week, but Kansas City's awful crowded there. How about a couple, just a more? We got Josh down. He's at 52. Easy game against Vegas, right? Well, he just hasn't been showing yet, right? And if Pierce comes back, right now they've got him listed as questionable with that concussion. And Pittman, and they keep trying to get this Mitchell involved. They did get him involved last week. And, of course, the tight end here, Warren, he's always involved, right? So a lot of mouths to feed, although, did you know that they were the number 4 team in passing, number 3 team offense? Of course, Jonathan Taylor helps out there with that team offense, right? So, and how about Zacchaeus, right? OZ, hey, he's been, what his position, what he's been doing is keeping Luther Burden down. Yeah, he had that big thing. I hope people didn't rush out and try to take Luther Burden. I warned you that OZ here is the number 3 on the team. And if DJ Moore don't start doing any better, he might be number 2. You see here that he has 22 targets, OZ, and DJ Moore has 25 there. So, hey, it's pretty close for that number 3. He's only owning 2%. He's doing more, though, just to keep Luther Burden down, right? That's what he tends to be doing here. So, anyway, let's move on to Michael Wilson. Just doesn't ever deliver. He is supposedly the number 2 there. And the team passing there is 28. Kyler Murray's just, he's getting it done with his legs. 148 yards. Throws that in to help keep his, up to that 16th in scoring. But Marvin Harrison Jr., he seems to be floundering there in his career. How they even put Dortch on here. Greg Dortch, he get a little bit more, but these Arizonas are down at the bottom. They got an easy game here at home against Tennessee, right? Both of them. So, not owned. I have flyer on that. I just don't know. The easy schedule though. Dortch did a little bit. Only 8 targets though for him, were only 10 for Wilson. Neither one of them look that good down here. All right, I'll just mention 2 more before we go here. How about Christian Kirk? Christian Kirk, Houston's just been terrible, right? They do have an easy against bad Baltimore. But, boy, Nico Collins, he's been trying. But it's just all C.J. Stroud, just not doing anything here. 800 yards passing. What is that, 200 a game? You can't get fat on that. So, nothing there. How about Savion Williams? They've been trying to get him involved. I mentioned him because, of course, Jaden Reed and all the wide receivers, of course, they're on a bye. So, but just keep an eye out for him in the future. And how about last one? Here we end up with Luke McCaffrey. He flashed a little 2 weeks in a row right there for Washington, right? McLaren, he's hurt. We told you, never take a holdout. And if one thing you can remember from this last, all the months prior to the season, I kept telling you, never take a holdout. Never take a holdout. They always seem to get hurt. Noah Brown's been hurting too, right? So that leaves room for Debo. Debo's been taking over there. But hey, that Lane even came on just a little bit. But Luke McCaffrey here has been getting some noise, right? These last two. Of course, they've got a tough matchup at the Chargers, so I don't think you'd be sticking him in. All right, that's a look at some of the wide receivers on the free agent. I mean, Wandale, if you can get him, but he's already owned. We've been crying that. Don't forget, look, Romeo Dobbs has the week off, so you don't want to rush out and get him. Maybe a little too early for Godwin, especially with at Seattle. Shakir's owned. I mean, it comes back down to Imanor. He's owned. Pierce, hey, keep an eye out for him if you hear anything about this. And, of course, that Washington's going to be a hot pickup, too. All right, with Tariq out. All right, let's take a look at this.